So we've talked about Nintendo a lot when it comes to copyright and how they don't really mess around. There's, of course, the jokes about the Nintendo Ninjas and everything, whether they're real or not, who really knows. But one thing we do know is Nintendo does go after entities, people, websites, whoever. If you are abusing their IPs or distributing their games, they will find you and they will hit you with a lawsuit or just some kind of cease and desist. It happens a lot. Fan games, ROM websites, which we're talking about today, that seems to be the biggest thing right now, is Nintendo going after ROM sites and fan games. Now, ROM sites in particular have been the target of Nintendo for a while now. Actually, if you remember a few years ago, MU Paradise actually got hit with a bunch of copyright infringement claims, and they removed pretty much all Nintendo games that were specific to Nintendo. Now, that doesn't mean all games on just Nintendo's platforms. Third-party games they pretty much left up, but if it had like Mario or Nintendo owned something that Nintendo could come after them for, they removed them. And now we have a new lawsuit from Nintendo going after a ROM site that's been, I guess, more prominently featured on the rise and definitely put together better than a lot of those run-of-the-mill, bottom-of-the-barrel ROM websites. There's a lot of ROM websites, but Nintendo can really pick and choose, I guess, which ones they have time to go after and if it's worth going after. And this one in particular, Love ROMs and Love Retro, seem to be more high traffic and definitely well put together compared to other ones. Here's a great example of it here, and you'll notice right away they don't really try to hide their preference towards Nintendo stuff, as the entire website seems to be kind of decked out with Nintendo's IPs. Now, this website does distribute pretty much all Nintendo stuff as well as other ones, basically ROMs for all different systems, but they have pretty much all Nintendo ROMs as well, ones that MU Paradise would have taken down. And the lawsuit itself, Nintendo does claim that these two websites, quote, are among the most open and notorious online hubs for pirated video games. And that was actually written in the official complaint with the lawsuit. The lawsuit itself is insane, by the way. The company is requesting damages of $150,000 per infringing Nintendo game and up to $2 million for each trademark infringement, which, by the way, look at their website. Like I said, they're all over the place. And that means with more than 140, that's right, there's 140 titles on there that are under these copyright terms, and there's 40 trademarks on the record. That could mean that the damages that Nintendo is requesting could be up to $100 million. And obviously, the person running this website, who's based out of Arizona, doesn't have that kind of money. This is something Nintendo is doing to pretty much scare or get this website just outright shut down. They don't like it because, according to Nintendo, this is unfair competition, as these games are free, and if Nintendo decides to try to sell them in the future, like they probably will, or add them to their subscription service, they could keep people from going online and doing that, rather than they could just go download these for free, rather than sign up for the service or buy them. Now, ROM sites have been around forever. I mean, seriously, I remember ROM sites back in the mid-90s. It's been around for a long, long time. I remember people would download the Pokemon Blue and Red ROMs because they were even hard to find, or even in some cases hard to get for some younger kids that may or may not have lived in my house. But they did have them as far back as I remember as then. So this isn't new, but Nintendo has been fighting ROM sites for a long time because these ROMs are free. Now, the one thing that's kind of a shame, this website has some pretty cool stuff to it. It actually has a bunch of scans of older manuals, which I really liked. And strangely, they distribute BIOS files for emulators, so I remember is an issue. That definitely falls less into the gray area, more into the no-no area, as I've seen. BIOS files generally make certain emulators work that you would need an actual system for, like a PS2 or a Game Boy Advance. Usually you shouldn't have those BIOS files on your websites. This website has been skating the line with other things as well, not just Nintendo files. Nintendo is just an entity that is willing to go after them for this, which is really funny because Nintendo does say in their FAQs or their frequently asked questions on their site, specifically about ROM files, according to them, if you download a game from an unofficial site or unofficial source, you are considered a software pirate. There's no debate, according to them, which is funny because I remember early in 2017, it was found, at least evidence was found, that Nintendo had downloaded a Mario ROM file from probably an unofficial source, since they were able to compare the coding, And according to them, this was from, I remember Eurogamer covered it, and then Techno Buffalo. A lot of people started covering it. And it seemed like they had downloaded this ROM file from a questionable website and then sold it to people on the Virtual Console. Now, of course, it's Nintendo's game, so I don't see an issue with them downloading their own game and then selling it, but it's just funny because they technically talk about it in that way on their website, and then I guess somebody internally got lazy and said, just download it. Or maybe the more scary thing is Nintendo didn't have a copy of the game readily available, so they had to go out and find a copy of the game because it's been distributed since, the 90s. So, yeah, Nintendo might even be going after their source of their own games. But according to several sources who are now covering this issue, it seems to be ongoing currently with the lawsuit in place and now out there. The defendant has not really said anything at this point. He's not responded to any comments or anything. And at this point, we're just going to wait and see what happens. More than likely, what will happen is the website will have to pretty much undergo an entire renovation because they're using a lot of Nintendo's imagery next to illegally obtained files. They'll have to pretty much change the entirety of the website, the look of it and everything, and they'll have to take down all of the Nintendo files. Nintendo says they want this site shut down, but after what MU Paradise did, I don't know if it needs to be shut down as much as just radically changed and have all of those Nintendo ROM files removed. The thing about this, though, and I think Nintendo needs to understand this, you're never going to get rid of all ROM files or all ways, channels to distribute these things, okay? These ROM files are always going to be out there, whether it's through torrent sites or just more ROM sites. ROM sites pop up all the time. They're everywhere. And sure, some are more virus-ridden than others, and some are just more broken than others and don't have the kind of presentation that this one has. It looks much more professional, or probably makes the same amount of money that this one makes. I'm sure through ads and other means, they're probably making a fair amount of money. They're always going to be out there. So you just have to try to, I guess, get rid of the more prominent ones like these and hope that people decide to just give you $7 from Super Mario World rather than go download it somewhere, which, from what we've seen with the Virtual Console sales in the past, and now they're doing a subscription service that is directly linked to the online service, I don't think they're going to have a lot of issues making money from their own games. Even with ROM files being out there, there's a lot of people who just don't want to deal with it. I would be more concerned if I was Nintendo about my imagery being used, and based on the terms of the lawsuit and what seems to be penalized more, that actually seems to be a bigger deal to Nintendo than the ROM files currently. It seems to be more so, hey, you're using Mario, you're using Bullet Bill, you're using the chest from Mario 3, you're using all this imagery on a website that is technically illegal in the grand scheme of things, and we don't want that. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think about this whole situation with the lawsuit against these ROM websites, specifically Love ROMs and then, of course, Love Retro. Let me know what you think about these lawsuits and if these websites shouldn't exist at all, or do you use them a lot and you want them to stick around, or maybe you just use torrents and you don't really care either way. And it obviously seems like it's something Nintendo should be going after, as it seems like clear-cut copyright infringement. MU Paradise pretty much admitted it after ripping down their games right away. So let me know what you think about this whole situation. Definitely, guys, down below, leave comments and everything, and like the video if you liked it, dislike it if not, and I'll see you guys in the next video.